How you doing? This is BK for manfulwars.com, where I'm promoting polite patriotism to help nice ladies and gents offline teach kids to look, talk, and feel great, and tell people worldwide locally discuss and share great online info they get excited about offline to help their neighbors think for themselves, help get better politicians and better results, because more informed people will expect more from their leaders as opposed to accepting whatever they get. So check out manforwars.com for more on that. But this video is called COVID-19 Plandemic. Can we stop straight men from acting like gays in bathhouses afraid to talk? Can we stop straight men from acting like gays in bathhouses afraid to talk? And this is very, very specifically related to a story told to me and us at a small dinner party by a very nice gay guy who took us into the gay bathhouse world. And he didn't say it was a great thing, he didn't say it was a bad thing, but he told us exactly what it was, as the topic of sex, formerly a very private topic, now a very public topic, kind of came up at the dinner table organically. And then he said, "Hey, you guys want to know what happens in those gay bathhouses?" And we were like, "Sure," assuming that he wouldn't get too graphic, but he would describe the conditions in a way that would be interesting and informative. And super nice guy did just that, right? But before that, I'm going to go into a little bit of sort of background before I get into that key story. Number one is I've noticed for a few years that more and more men have been having trouble talking, right? More and more men have been girl washed, gay washed, trans washed. And besides all that washing, they've also been discouraged from being men, right? Little boys, don't jump up and down, don't run around, don't write that story, don't crash your cars into each other. See how nice the girls are playing. Why can't you sit there and play dollhouse like a girl, right? Why do you have to be more active like a boy, right? And so they've been discouraged from talking, discouraged from expressing their opinions, and so on. And so as a result of that, instead of confidently expressing themselves like men, young men, or boys turning into young men, turning into men, they're being discouraged more and more from doing that, and that's causing a lot of problems. And instead, many want to get looked at instead of talking as well. And they don't want to look at each other because they're regular straight guys, so they just piss each other off, don't respect each other. Nobody else does, and then they bother them, and people bother each other, and it's a big mess. And then people have trouble doing anything except for making each other uncomfortable, making it hard to be nice, look at, or talk to each other, and then even go near strangers, look for nice people like zombies to try and turn them into people that are sketchy and uncomfortable and bother people to make more zombies. So that's a key issue. And you can check out manforwars.com for the last several years of proof of this happening with millions of diverse people, proving, number one, that it's happening, number two, that they like being ignored and want to stop. And so those are keys, because if we understand those and we act on those, then we don't just have to fashionably go along with it, right? I remember a few years ago at a coffee shop, this just comes to mind, talking with a feller, kind of older guy, about something semi-serious, right? Not serious, but some sort of political issue or whatever issue. And I remember a couple of the younger guys that were kind of hanging out with us, their eyes started glassing over, like, their eyes started glassing over, started looking down, right? Kind of getting catatonic. Well, me and this dude were just going back and forth on some stuff, right? And so it was just one of those things where I was noticing me and this guy were talking freely, and this young guy, or one or two young guys there, were just like, eyes glassing over, not sure I can talk about this, not sure I can hear this, not sure I can do anything. And that's a huge problem, because men get more credit for what they say, women get more credit for what they are. Men are more say, do. Archie walking a white picket fence in the old Archie comic books, and Betty and Veronica getting more credit for what they are, which is a cute blonde and a cute brunette, and kind of being inherently special, right? When we all relax and respect each other, and we can appreciate that. So, not saying that the men can't be, cool, good looking, whatever, and that girls can't say stuff and do stuff. Obviously, they can. But in terms of inherently, right, kind of what we appreciate when it comes to appreciating each other, that's my key. Because if we can respect each other and appreciate each other and empower each other, we can communicate better, and that will help us deal with this COVID-19 pandemic and everything else going on right now and afterwards. So, second thing I'll get into is I believe most people straight should be great at it, and we should promote that. And that if most people straight are great at it, then LGBTQ can be too. And I'm serious, right? There's many issues with the LGBTQ lifestyle, but there are also many issues with many straight people's lifestyles. So there's issues across the board, and we should respect each other and honestly get them all out there, and then find the best things that work for us, right? If you're, if you're straight and you're not supposed to be gay, you're going to be miserable at it. No matter how many drugs and dicks you take, you're going to be miserable at it. But if you're gay and you're not supposed to be straight, then it's possible you'll also be miserable at it, right? So I wouldn't want a straight guy to be gay and be all screwed up and not be able to live up to their potential and live the life they should. And I wouldn't want a gay guy, just some skinny, twinky gay guy who likes to dance around in clubs and has a great time with their friends and they all get along and respect each other and they can be cool with other gay people and other straight people and whoever. They shouldn't necessarily be on a farm in Iowa somewhere with a wife and 6 kids, praying to the Bible every day, and they'd probably be horrible at it, right? And running their farm and raising their wife and 6 kids, right? So it's not quite as simple. And there's lots of reasons for what happens to people, but if we get those out there, then we can get all this properly sorted. Another thing is no sexualizing kids, right? No sexualizing kids. No adults should be like, hey, this is the way I like to have sex. And kids need to learn how I like to have sex. Because if they don't, then they might not like me or people like me when they grow up. And so they have to learn how I like to have sex. That's garbage, right? The little boys and little girls should get to grow up being good at being little boys and little girls, little masculine boys, roughhousing with each other, and a little nicer to the girls who are a little nicer to them, put each other in a good mood, and you should get a chance to do that, right? You should not be given a whole bunch of ideas that have nothing to do with being a kid, right? You can't be like, well, I'm a straight guy and I love banging my wife from behind and have my balls slap off her big, beautiful ass. And if we don't teach little kids about that, they might not like me or people like me. It's like, shut up, man. Shut up now before I punch you in the fucking head, right? And when it comes to gays or transes or whatevers, you shouldn't be like, well, I'd like to stick my fist up my boyfriend's bum and little kids have to learn that, otherwise they might not. No, 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 no. Nice, polite people, likable people, don't need to tell anyone except for the person they're having sex with how they like to have sex, right? So it's all garbage. And so we can definitely transcend that compared to sort of the sexualizing of kids going on right now, partly because it screws them up, screws people up. Kids, especially the more people you have sex with at a younger age, the harder it is for you to pair bond later. People like philosopher Bertrand Russell wrote about this in the early 1900s. He goes, if we get the kids having sex at 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, and they have many, many partners, by the time they're 25, 30, whatever years old, and they feel like getting married, it's going to be real hard to settle down with one wife or one husband and stay together and raise kids, right? Because you're so used to so many different options, right? So it's part of a plan to sort of divide and conquer us, depopulation, etc., right? And you can look into that more yourself. I won't get into it a lot here. But with most people straight being great at it, right? And you promote that for kids, right? Nothing sexual, just polite, nice ladies and gents, right? But after that, then freedom is also a goal in cultures that want free people who can uniquely express themselves consensually with other people in a variety of ways. You don't all want pure commie zombie-like homogeneity either way, right? You don't want commie zombie-like homogeneity in terms of the leftist kind of version where everyone's a commie zombie that way, and you don't want the right-wing conservative version where everyone's a homogenous commie zombie. Now, there are certain things like population, demographics, ethnicities, cultures, and all that, and I believe they need to be protected by nationalists who protect their borders, their cultures, and their economies, and they're great places to live and visit. And then when it comes to things like immigration, you can slowly grow organically without destabilizing your country. Like you got a house party of 100 people, friends or friends of friends who know each other, you don't just let 50 people in from outside the door just because you don't want to be racist, sexist, phobic, or whatever, and they use that kind of attack to make you let them in. Otherwise, they could knock on your door. Hey, we have 50 people outside that want to join your party. Oh, no, we're good. We all know each other. We all get along. You know what I mean? We're cool. You better let them in. Otherwise, you're racist, sexist, phobic. And you shove another 50 people into a 100-person house party. They don't know you. They don't know each other. Everything gets all screwed up, right? That's a micro level. At a macro level, that's what happens with countries. So it's not racist to control your borders. Japanese should do it. Nigerians should do it. Peruvians should do it. Swiss should do it. English should do it. Canadians should do it. Americans should do it. Mexicans should do it. Nobody should allow their countries to be radically destabilized by that, which is part of globalist plans like the UN Global Compact for migration that Trump fortunately kept America out of so that they can control their border policy. But Trudeau, Canada's Prime Minister, unfortunately signed Canada onto, so now Canada doesn't control their borders and migration policy. And even during this COVID-19 pandemic, you still have to let people in from all over the world, not be too careful with them, not be too rough on them, not test them, right? Not you just say, nope, nope, this is it, this is it. And so it's not incompetence or ideology. It's part of a plan to weaken countries, destroy national sovereignty, bring China-style control systems, export them to the rest of the world as China takes over as the world role model for the U.S. Freedom, prosperity, not perfect, screwed up, evil people do bad things as well. But the ideals of the U.S., guaranteed rights, freedom, prosperity, you aim for, everyone has big house, big car, blue jeans, rock and roll, or your version of it. That's supposed to be replaced by China, and their authoritarian control systems are supposed to be normalized worldwide. And then once that happens, China can hand the world over to the UN, World Health Organization, and other groups. So that's the bigger picture. So it's not just ideology or incompetence. It's bigger than that, right? But otherwise, in cultures where you have freedom, then you can have people who can uniquely express themselves and do what they want. If the ideal is for people to get married and have kids and not be super promiscuous and not, whatever, right? Not be single, then great. Promote that. It creates healthy cultures, right? Promote that. Promote religion, spirituality, values. But if you want to be promiscuous and there's some bros out there and there's some hoes out there and they want to do that, fine, right? But you don't promote it because it's bad for your culture. But you allow it because of freedom, right? You want to be single, you don't want to get married, fine, right? Don't screw anybody else up, right? But freedom, no problem. And then you want to be LGBTQ, whatever, fine, right? But no proselytizing to kids. Learn what some of the risks are. Learn how this stuff doesn't necessarily make you happy. Lesbians aren't necessarily happier, gays aren't necessarily happier, transes are definitely not necessarily happier. 40% attempted suicide rate in their own studies with 27,000 plus trans people in America, for example, who they're trying to help. And it's not because people treat them bad. It's because they're not comfortable in their own skin. They can't be comfortable with other people. You can't be comfortable with them. And they've made a horrible mistake. Plus the surgeries and the drugs can screw up your body, cause a lot of health risks, screw up your mind. And that's why. So it's not because they're being treated poorly. But if they can be nice, polite ladies and gents, just copy it. You're gay, no problem. Be the nice gay guy at the bank who's just another nice, polite lady and gent. You're just a bit more foppish, a bit more effete. You care a bit more about your looks and your clothes, but you're not trying to be obnoxious about it and nobody else is. Then it's fine, right? And so, and if you get the risks out and you get the solutions out to say, look, you don't have to do this. You can look into it. And if you look into it and that stuff doesn't work for you, then go ahead. At least you're not depressed and making a decision that'll depress you more. At least you're informed and empowered. You're learning about it. And you're like, all right, so these are the pros and cons. Totally cool with it. I still want to do it. Then go ahead. Don't screw yourself or anybody else up. All the best, right? So freedom is important. Now, I've had a couple of homo homies, right? And me and my homo homies is cool. One of my homo homies is a lawyer, great guy. He said a great quote, which sticks to me several years later to this day. Conversations are best when both parties evolve, right? When you can communicate well and you can evolve your understanding, evolve your opinion, evolve your empathy for different points of view, right? Great guy, successful. He also complained about some problems in the neighborhood. He says, I can get laid whenever I want, but I can't find a boyfriend to hang out with and watch movies with for more than 2 weeks in a row, right? Like he was complaining about some of the excesses and the narcissism in the gay culture, right? And I totally have respected it, totally understand. And there's certainly some straight problems like that too, right? But he was just a straight up, honest gay dude who I got along with, right? Another buddy like that, another buddy, neighbor, used to hang out, drink coffee. Neighbor actually said, hey man, why don't we do this at a gay bathhouse one day? I was like, I can't do it, man. If I go there, I'll be a screwed up straight guy. I'll be a mess for you, right? Just like if I invited my gay buddy to a strip club and said, hey man, let's go to a strip club. We can keep chatting like this, but there's just some hot girls around, right? And I'm like, whoa, check out that broad. And buddy's like bored, annoyed, like not comfortable there, right? So to be good at being straight or gay for other straight or gay people, you gotta be comfortable in your own skin and good at being straight or gay. If you're comfortably confident straight, great. You're comfortably confident gay, great, right? But you can't cross the streams. You can't, straight guy can't be like, yeah, sure, man, why not? We're friends. I'll go to the gay place and put on a towel and we'll walk around. And even if I don't do any gay stuff, it'll be, no, you can't do that. Then I'll be a screwed up straight guy. We won't be cool anyway because he won't be hanging out with the same cool guy that he gets along with. And just like my buddy, if I forced him to be straighter than he should be, then he wouldn't be cool. So that's clear, right? And I'm not endorsing it. There's lots of problems with it, and I'm going to get into that later, right? In terms of, you definitely shouldn't be if you shouldn't be. But in cultures where freedom is allowed, hey, possible you should be, right? So finally, I'll get to this dinner party anecdote that I teased early on in this vlog, right? I'm at a great little dinner party. Lovely kind of older couple I was living with as a roommate there, sort of in their place. Great guy, great girl. And there was another girl there, a hot, sassy banker chick, finance industry chick, right? And she brought a gay date, right? So I think it was like 5 of us, 5 or 6 of us. I think it was 5 of us basically at this little dinner party, right? And so we were all the usual, the wine, the food, whatever, talking, joking, whatever. And then the sassy girl starts bringing up sex because, that's a modern public topic of conversation as opposed to private. So she brings up sex. And so then we start talking about sex to some degree, joking about sex or whatever, blah, 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 right? It's a little uncouth and a little unladylike, but she's cute enough to get away with it and she's successful and that's what her circles are sort of into, I guess. So, whatever, right? But she brings up sex, right? So then her gay date, really nice guy, right? Really nice guy. Skinny, good looking, a little beard, plaid shirt, the sort of, I fantasize about big, strong, badass lumberjacks. That's who I kind of wank off to, that type of archetype. But I'm just a skinny little gay guy version of it. So my beard's all nicely trimmed. I've got little, sort of thick-rimmed black glasses. I've got a plaid shirt on that's similar to the lumberjacks, the badass, manly men that I fantasize about, and there's reasons for that I'll get into in a sec. But he's a nice guy. Didn't bother me, didn't bother us. I got along great with him, right? So nothing against him. And he said, hey, man, or hey, you guys want to know what really goes on in those gay bathhouses, right? And so we were like, all right, sure. Like it's just a different world. We don't want to hear all the technical gay details, but in terms of the environment and the atmosphere, sure, I'm happy to learn and be informed, as to sort of what that's like. And then he says, okay, look, I'm going to tell you what it's like. And I'm saying to you, straight up, nice gay guy. I'm going to tell you, I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm just saying this is how it is, right? There are pros and cons to it. You can look at it like, oh, that's pretty cool, right? You figured out a way to get along and do what you want to do. Or you can look at it and say, that's not so good, right? It doesn't seem like you're quite connecting the way you should, right? So he says at the gay bathhouses, right? He says guys go there. It's all gay guys. And they either walk around naked or they walk around just with a towel on. And he says, and this is where it gets to my point about the straight guys being afraid to talk like gay guys in bathhouses, right? He says, in the gay bathhouse, the lights are kind of dim. There's kind of commoner areas. There's like a pool there, whatever, pools there you can kind of hang out in, swim in, whatever, and then there's rooms at the back that you can go into if you want to kind of get private with somebody who you connected with, right? And he says at the gay bathhouses, a lot of the guys are afraid to talk because the idea is you're there naked or wearing nothing but a towel, and you see some other guy and he's naked or wearing nothing but a towel, and you kind of size each other up and you kind of see if you're into kind of what he looks like and his vibe, and he kind of feels if he's into what you look like and your vibe, and then you kind of, move closer to each other, you lock eyes and you move closer to each other. And then he says, this is the gay guy telling me us the story. He says, and then we're afraid to talk. Because what if we say something and somebody else doesn't like it? What if we say something and it's a big turnoff? What if we say something and all of a sudden we don't respect each other, we don't like each other, we don't find each other attractive, I don't find you attractive, or God forbid you don't find me attractive. So they don't say anything, right? This gay guy can walk towards this other gay guy in the bathhouse, and he can be like, how you doing? I'm Dave. I'm a conservative. And he's like, oh, geez, I'm John. I'm a liberal. Oh, this is awkward. We just looked at each other like we wanted to go do gay stuff, but now you're one of those scumbag conservatives, or you're one of those scumbag liberals. So, never mind, right? So they don't say anything, right? Or even the sound of their voice, or even other things they might talk about, right? Not like normal guys who respect each other, acknowledge each other, make sure they don't bother each other, stay busy or friendly to be respected, and then keep it moving, or mind their business and get back to something they're doing or thinking about, or talk about something, right? Like they respect each other, so there's no issues when it comes to being able to talk to each other, right? In the gay bathhouse environment, they don't do that, right? And he said, I'm not saying this is good, right? It certainly works, right? You don't make each other uncomfortable with what you say, and so you can go do something that's gay, right, with each other, right? You can just get off physically with each other. But it does seem kind of shitty that us grown-ass men can't actually talk because we're scared of what each other might say, and that's really stupid. Like, he said, I'm a grown-ass guy, I work in the financial industry, I make a lot of money, I'm successful, and I'm scared to say anything in front of this other grown-ass gay guy, right? Because what if we turn each other off, right? So that's an issue. And straight guys are often acting like that today. Where a straight guy, hey, no, don't say anything, just act sketchy, just play with hair, wipe face, wipe nose, look at toes, look at body, look at butt, get worked up. No, don't say, no, might make each other uncomfortable, oh, no, right? And so they don't respect each other, and they insist, and then they don't respect anyone else, and no one respects them, so they lose respect by being a mess near people and bothering them, so they lose respect. And then they lose respect by being impotent and not being able to say anything while someone else is a mess bothering them, right? You can't just be like, what's wrong? Like, what do you mean what's wrong? Just uncomfortable. Don't say anything. I don't want to talk about what's wrong. You might not like me, right? It's garbage, right? So that's what I mean by saying, COVID-19 pandemic, can we stop straight men from acting like gays in bathhouses afraid to talk? Because that is sort of something similar to what's happening now, right? And so you got to deal with that, right? So that's the basics of the gay dinner party story. And if you can see that allegorically with respect to men where you live, who make sure no one respects them, no one can respect each other, make it hard for anyone to communicate, and just kind of be uncomfortable near other people, making them uncomfortable, and essentially kind of making them do it because we're big enough. We're big enough. I'm big enough to be a bitchy bully, a big, strong, badass dude, average height, average weight, average build. I can bitchy bully someone into being a bitch with me. But then that blowback's a bitch. Then that bitch will be a bitch with me and rip my balls off. Then I'm just impotent while that person's a bitch. Bitch, don't say anything, shut up. Miserable bitch. Now what? Miserable bitch near me, he's ripping my balls off. Grown-ass man, can't say or do a damn thing. Blah. Right? So that's a huge problem out there because then they lose respect both ways, right? So on that, I'm going to recommend a couple of websites and a couple of gentlemen out there that are helping people deal with this. One is the late great, although his team and his son are still carrying on his work, but the late great Dr. Joseph Nicolosi. Joseph Nicolosi, Nicolosi. You can look up josephnicolosi.com on his website. You can look up their new website. And his thing is, if gay doesn't define you, you don't have to be gay, right? And like I said, gay doesn't define you, you shouldn't be gay. Straight doesn't define you, you shouldn't be straight, right? It just is what it is, right? But if gay doesn't define you, then you don't have to be gay, right? And Dr. Joseph Nicolosi was using something called reparative therapy. Reparative therapy. And he believed, and he's a good guy. You can look up his YouTube videos while they're still available, repost them. He's a classic good guy. Like, sometimes you'll be like, oh, what do you think of Dave? Oh, he's a good guy, right? Where you can say that about some guys. Some guys you can't say that about because not a good guy in the classic sense of being a good guy. But Dr. Joseph Nicolosi is, from what I can see, is just a classic good guy, right? You can agree, you can disagree, but he's just a good guy. He's not trying to mess with you, right? So he's a good guy, right? And Dr. Joseph Nicolosi basically used what's called reparative therapy. Now, this is being made illegal around the world, right? Where if you're gay and you're not happy with it, you're doing all the gay things right. You're hanging out with the homo homies. You're going to the homo homie bars, right? You're taking dicks and drugs. You're doing whatever the hell you're supposed to do, right? You're not cool. You're just miserable, right? You're just miserable. You're doing everything right. You're just miserable, right? Those people would spend years in the scene, and they would be burned out, and they'd be like, I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. People think I'm living the right way in the sense of the gay lifestyle, but I'm friggin' miserable, right? So those people, those guys would go to Dr. Joseph Nicolosi's clinic in California, and so on. He's helped hundreds and hundreds of men, and they did what's called reparative therapy, not shock therapy, not evil therapy, not lobotomy therapy, reparative therapy, which basically means psychotherapy, talking about your childhood, talking about your problems, talking about what happened, right? And a lot of cases, there's sort of a couple of main things that Joseph Nicolosi found were common among hundreds of guys who came to him and said, you know what, the gay way ain't working for me, so I got to do something else. I tried it, I did it right, according to everyone else there, but it doesn't work for me, right? And so a couple of things. Number one is childhood abuse, right? They may have been abused by their father or mother, typically a male, or a male cousin, right? They were typically abused. And in terms of being abused like that, they sort of felt, okay, so I'm not a man or whatever, right? Um, and, or maybe I'm more like a girl. Maybe this is the way I should be. Maybe I should be, instead of a pitcher, I should be a catcher, right? So one is childhood abuse, and that always screws up kids. And this is one way it screws them up, right? Number two is bonding with the wrong parent, right? Typically, little boys, right? Little boys and girls, right? No matter, babies, right? Babies always bond with the mother, right? Mother, come out of the mother, was part of incubated in the mother, and then you come out of the mother, then you're breastfeeding with the mother, then the mother is constantly holding you, constantly talking to you, constantly whatever. And so for the first 2, 3, 4 years, you're pretty much, it's you and mom, right? Dad's there, dad's cool, dad's, hopefully dad's there. Sometimes dad's not, which is also a problem. But, dad's, archetypically, dad's around, but dad's, not as tied with the baby and the infant and the super small child as mom is, right? But then, around the age of 4 or 5 years old, little girls start identifying more with the mom and going, I think I want to grow up to be one of those. And little boys start identifying more with the father and start going, I think I want to grow up to be more like one of those. So they start naturally separating when it comes to their bond with the mom, right? Little baby or 2, 3-year-old, learning how to barely walk and talk, mom's there. 4 or 5-year-old, you're running circles around the house, you're jumping on things, you're breaking things, you're climbing things, you're and mom's like, calm down, stop, what do you, and you start realizing, all right, I'm not one of those things, right? I'm more like one of those things. And your dad's like, all right, honey, what's going on? Oh, the boy's been driving me crazy all day. He's full of energy. He's like, oh, yeah, I know what to do with boys that are full of energy. Rah, wrestling time, wrestling time. The kid's like, and you take the 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old boy, you slam him into the couch, you throw him up with this, you pretend to let him beat you, you don't let him really beat you, you say, hey, this is, and so you identify more with the male figure, right? Because you're getting more of that male energy, that testosterone, and that drive to run and play and do and hide and seek and jump and break and smash and whatever. Whereas the girls are more identifying with the role playing, right? I want to play dollhouse. I want to pretend this doll is a mommy and this doll is a daddy, and they're hanging out and drinking coffee and talking about how to pay for their kids' education or whatever the hell it is, right? So that's when the bonding the bonding with the right parent is supposed to happen. However, if you've got shrill bitchy mothers and weak bitchy fathers, quiet, weak, sullen bitchy fathers and loud, obnoxious, shrill bitchy mothers, then the boy doesn't have a strong male figure to bond with. So they might be like, well, I don't want to be like that sack of shit. and the other one seems to be more badass because it's a shrill, bitchy mom. At least they're, loud and aggro, and so I'd rather do that, right, as opposed to the sullen, weak, bitchy dad. So screw it, right? So they tend to bond more with the mom, right? Or the dad's just not there, right? And you've got women who sort of miss men and hate men at the same time, and blah 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 blah. And or maybe they try and glue their son to them because they don't have a man in their life, so they kind of are overbearing when it comes to raising their sons. And so Dr. Joseph Nicolosi goes through all of these concerns, and the guys talk about them, right? The guys talk about them, right? So that's number one, abuse. Number two, wrong bonding or whatever. And number three, I'll leave you with 3 points from Dr. Joseph Nicolosi that have stuck with me to this day, right? The third one is a lot of times guys are gay because they don't love themselves and they don't know how to connect with other men, right? That they fantasize, right? It's like the little boy sitting in the window of his parents' house looking outside at the other boys playing, right? They're out there playing soccer, they're playing tag, they're playing hide and seek, they're playing football, and this little boy is not allowed to go out and play because their parents won't let them, right? So they fantasize about being a man, right? They fantasize about being a man, and they fantasize about being a boy, and they kind of grow up like that. So they're trying to connect with men they respect, but not like men with self-respect who can connect with other men they respect who also have self-respect, right? And this could be anybody. This could be anybody. I've done extensive experiments in Toronto, Canada, for example, a lot of stuff on video, right? Even mentally ill people, mentally ill guys who have self-respect, who aren't trying to mess with you, who aren't uncomfortable in their own skin, at least not excessively, and aren't trying to make you uncomfortable, you can show and get respect, right? Rich guys, poor guys, black guys, white guys, fat guys, skinny guys, young guys, old guys, little boys, old men, right? It doesn't matter, right? If you have some self-respect, then you can connect with other men you respect, right? This guy might be twice as good looking as you, twice as tall as you. This guy might be, a Top Gun Air Force pilot, 6'5", 225 pounds of muscle, looking like a friggin' god, right? And you might be just like me, like an average height, average weight, average build guy, right? But I ain't kissing his ass or sucking his dick or getting up his ass like a bitch, right? And he's not doing that to me. So we can show and get respect. No big deal. Just because the guy's a god compared to my dumbass doesn't mean that we can't have self-respect and respect each other, feel better for it, and communicate well, or take that respect that we exchanged, mind our business, and keep it moving, right? So that's what they have trouble doing, is that they're like, I really want to be like that guy, but I don't have self-respect, I can't show and get it, so maybe I'll suck his dick, right? Or maybe I'll bend over, grab my ankles, and let him shove something in there, right? Now that's what happens, right? And so it comes from a place of weakness and confusion that you can clarify if it doesn't work for you, and if other people know this, right? And at this time in history, it's important for most men to be able to talk and show and get respect and help everyone else calm down. And when men are serious and instead of stupid or silly and they got something on their minds, then the women's auxiliary kicks in, and they're nice and friendly, and they don't want to bother guys busy with something besides bothering them. They just want to be nice to you and extra friendly, and then trust you're not going to bother them, and they can get back to it like the birds. They sort of fly by, they want to get checked out, and they fly away, right? And so there'll be a natural, okay, man, you got the COVID-19 virus, got to worry about, got health tips, what's going on, got to get some information out to protect my family, friends, whatever. All right, we get possibility of martial law, these conditions, quarantine, oh my God, what's going to happen? Do we have to stay in our houses for 18 months? Yeah, we may have a depression, have to worry about the job, have to worry about the economy, have to worry about paying my mortgage, right? And you have something on your mind besides nothing but being bored and bitchy and sketchy, right? So if guys do that, then they'll be cool with each other, and then women and kids will calm down, and they'll be good company, and everyone can put everyone in a good mood, right? So that's what's the issue, right? Now, so when it comes to that, that's an issue. And finally, I'll leave you with the work of Peter LaBarbera. Peter LaBarbera at aftah.org, I think. Americans for Truth About Homosexuality, right? AFTA.org, right? Peter LaBarbera has done great work on this issue for years, right? There's many medical concerns when it comes to this. There's psychological concerns when it comes to this, right? And again, straight people have them too. It's not like I'm picking on somebody. It's just that you should be honest and get all the problems that people have out there and not force people to just accept things as being cool when it's often bad for them, right? Like if most people were gender confused and unable to respect each other and communicate well, it'd be very bad. If most people were not, and then a couple people wanted to do something else, but they fit in with the rest of those people, didn't screw themselves or other people up, then freedom, fine, no problem, right? But the great work of Peter LaBarbera at AFTAH, Americans for Truth About Homosexuality.org, is there, and you got to give this guy credit. You got to give all these guys credit, right? People who don't like this shit, right? People who are guys straight, guys Christian, guy does not want to look at or think about this shit at all. He just sees it screwing up people, screwing up families, screwing up kids. He sees the very powerful lobby behind all these ideas, not normal people, right? There's normal people and then there's lobbies. There's normal black people and there's Black Lives Matter extremists, right? There's normal people that care about the environment and pollution and mercury and GMO foods, and there's extremists that say we have to worry about what the weather's going to be like in 20 years and it's going to be our fault, so everyone live in mud huts and ride bicycles, right? There's normal people and there's extremists, and the extremist LGBT lobby are the ones being empowered by the globalists, super rich evil people who want to screw everybody up and control everybody or kill everybody or whatever, depending on how you look at that and interpret that. And they're the ones being empowered. So the worst voices are being empowered, right? Like the man-hating feminists get empowered, not just the girls that want to vote, want some respect for their intelligence, right? It's the ones that are like, no, destroy the patriarchy, destroy men, y'all suck. It's like, shit, we're half the people here. We're the ones who got to fight for you, right? It's like, no. So they empower the worst groups, right? And so Peter LaBarbera noticed this, and he was like, screw this, we got to save people, right? And so he came up with aftah.org, and I recommend you check out those. So josephnicolosi.com, afta.org, and I hope those help. And there you have it, right? So when it comes to COVID-19 pandemic, can we stop straight men from acting like gays in bathhouses afraid to talk? I hope this was a holistic explanation of why I'm saying that, and it's not just some knee-jerk internet goldfish eating and pooping and forgetting bits of crap, type of blurt out there that can be seen as homophobic or sexist or whatever, or I'm just an asshole, nothing like that. It's a holistic way of looking at this issue and going, this is why I'm saying that, and I hope it made sense. So there you have it. So anyway, BK from manforwars.com. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, get in touch with questions, to work together, or financial support as you'd like. Otherwise, hope this helps. Oh, more in the links below as well. And otherwise, hope this helps, and I'll talk to you soon. And I hope you and everybody else near you, where you live, talks better too soon, so you can do more about what's going on right now and whatever the hell happens next, and you can talk better about fun and serious stuff, and look, talk, and feel great in general. And there you have it. Hope this helps, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.